What's up, you guys? It's TJ DeStefano from Advanced Training here with a very special guest, Mason Williams. He's become one of my closest brothers over the last few years. I was blessed to coach him for all 4 years of high school, 2 years as his assistant coach, 2 years as his head coach, and he was very fortunate to receive some All-State honors. Was it first or second team?
I got two-time second team. Didn't get the first team, but
Two-time second team. Might have been some politics involved, but that's a discussion for another day. And then he's just a very dedicated, focused, and hardworking young man. Super high character. He inspires a lot of people to be better. A story that we tell constantly between me and him is that he came up to me as this like tiny eighth grade kid talking about hey coach, I want to play college basketball. Do you think that's a possibility? And I just told him, with work and time, anything's possible. So if that's something that you really want to do, just dedicate yourself to it, put the time in, and just see where God takes you after that. And to his credit, he did that. He put in a ton of work, spent more hours with me in the gym than anybody else. And now he was blessed to be able to go play on at his freshman year at East Texas Baptist University. Got to start some games as a freshman, which is very special. So just kind of take us through, your journey, who you are, and what you want to tell these people.
well, first off, thanks for having me. This is great. Kind of full circle moment being here with you. Coming from eighth grade all the way to freshman year, kind of crazy. I started playing basketball, truthfully, in my freshman year in high school. When I was in eighth grade, COVID hit, so the world shut down, and I told myself I wanted to be good at basketball. So my life completely changed from then. I started to become more disciplined. I set out goals for myself, which I had never done before, and I think you really inspired me to reach for those goals and write them down and journal every day about them. But yeah, I texted you. I DM'd Coach. Uh, when COVID hit, we transferred to Allen Academies, which is where I played, and I DM'd Coach and said, "Hey, Coach, I was wondering if if maybe I could get a chance to be on the varsity team, or do you think I'll just play JV?" And Coach said, obviously, hard work, dedication, to be on the varsity team. So, and then from there, I've just been working ever since. Have tried to master shooting as much as possible. That's kind of my game. And yeah, just hard work every single day.
That's a perfect segue into our first question. So shooting is obviously, I would say, your key skill, something
Uh-huh.
that you are above average at and continue to try to refine and master every day. But just what do you think has allowed you to see so much success both in high school and now early on in your college career?
I think people worry about making shots a little bit too much. Personally, early on, when I first started playing basketball, that eighth grade summer into my freshman year, I really focused on form. And there's a lot of great shooters out there with bad form. So as long as the ball goes in. But I think as soon as you're starting out, I think form is uber important. And I used to make 100 form shots at 5 spots. So I used to make 500 form shots before I even began working out. And then I'd push it back to then make 100 free throws. So I'd make 600 shots before I even started dribbling. And obviously my dribbling was lacking a little bit, but my shot was not. So I think form is very important starting out. I think the thumb flick is a bit too inconsistent. Now Ray Allen used to do the thumb flick, and he's the second greatest shooter ever. So there are outliers, but I think all the way from the base of your feet, loaded wrist, uh, hand placement on the ball, straight elbow. Now LaMelo Ball shoots way out here, so he's another outlier. I just think having really good form is what has allowed me to reach my potential, but also continue to grow within that potential. Being able to shoot it on the move, off the dribble, hard shots, easy shots. Just as long as you have a very consistent and easily replicated form, I think that's a key.
100%. So in that book that I just sent you earlier
Uh-huh.
today, I don't remember who exactly said the quote, but somebody says something along the lines of, you can either become a great shooter one of two ways. You can have great technique
Uh-huh.
and shoot 300 to 400 shots a day, or you can have bad technique and you can shoot 3,000 to 4,000 shots
Yeah.
a day. And that was a good one for me because you do see the outliers, the people
Uh-huh.
that have kind of weird, janky form, but they've probably practiced it so much that they've gotten that consistency through the time and
Yeah.
repetition. And then I also want to bring up a little story about this guy talking about people worry too much about making shots. Freshman year, I'm the
Yeah.
assistant coach. We're playing our crosstown rival, St. Joseph's, also the school that I went to for high school. And Mason, to his credit, was a very good shooter, but all good shooters have bad days, bad games. And so we start the game, and I think he misses his first three threes or something in the first quarter. And were you 14 or 15 at that time? You were young,
Yeah, freshman year, so
young.
yeah, 14 or
Little
15.
Mason, long hair, different guy than he is now. But I can just see it in his body language and in his face. He doesn't want to shoot anymore. And so I pull him over to the sideline, grab him by both sides of his jersey. And I won't say the words on the podcast, but I told him to shoot the ball. And he went on to go 0 for 10
Yep.
for the rest of the game. And it was one of his defining moments early in his career of like, yeah, I didn't make a single shot, but I was willing to shoot. And that was his job as a freshman on that team, was to catch the ball and shoot it when he's open. And
Yep.
so I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that was one of those pivotal moments where it was like, yeah, that sucked. I don't want that to happen again. But at the same time, I focused on what my job was, which was to
Yeah,
do the shooting and to focus on the next shot, even if they're not falling.
absolutely. I think that moment was hilarious. Not in the moment. I almost started crying. I was like, no, please don't yell at me, coach. But yeah, I mean, 0 for 10 is way better than 0 for 3. And that's what I learned that day. And I tell people this all the time. Like, even this year, one of my teammates was second team all conference. And I used to tell him, you go 0 for 2, that's a different story than going 0 for 8. I'd way rather you shoot the shot, because then that puts pressure on the defense, and we can go down that rabbit hole. But just personally, your job is to shoot shots, and you know you've trusted your work. And yeah, sometimes you're not going to make them all, but yeah, for sure, definitely a defining moment in my career.
And confidence is just so key for shooters. You know, you
Yes,
got to believe every shot you're going to shoot is going to go in,
absolutely,
even when you're not making them.
absolutely.
So, speaking on your freshman season in college, what were some of the biggest adjustments that you had to make both on and off the floor, going from being at this small high school, Allen Academy, you know, being the guy on your team, being close to family, and then there's just always naturally an adjustment period going from that and then being on your own. Tell me kind of what you went through this year.
Well, I think everyone in college goes from being the guy to just a guy, and that's a hard adjustment for some. But I've grown up around the game, so I I've been hearing that my whole life, and I've kind of been humble about entering college and just thankful for the opportunity. And like you said, homesickness was a bit rough, but on the court, I think pace and athleticism and speed are the things that uh, almost shocked me the most. Pace, obviously, the ball is going up and down fast. Compared to high school, you could walk it up. You know, there's no shot clock in high school, which I have opinions on, but you know, like you're going up and down fast, especially if you press and then you like to play in transition, which my team did. So you not only do you have to be in shape, but you have to know where to go, how to get there, how to maneuver, and then athleticism. I went, like you were saying, small 2A private school. There's not very many athletic people, and so it was definitely a adjustment period. But I think what helped me uh, go against the grain in terms of athleticism, because I'm smaller and I can't dunk, and you know I don't have a 4.40 or whatever. But the space, there's so much more space. So as long as you know where you want to go and how to get there, and for me personally, how to get my shot off, I think this space is a really key to. Oh, excuse me, sorry. But then off the court, I think what has shocked me and kind of continues to shock me is it's just a different feel with your teammates. You know, in high school, you have class with your teammates, every single class pretty much. And they're your best friends, and they come over to your house and you go over to their house and you go eat dinner every day. In college is a bit different because not only are there senior to freshman different courses, like different classes, so you're not all in the same, you're living in different areas on campus, and there's just a whole bunch of different cliques, I think. And in high school, you're just all best friends playing ball together. And in college, there's just some people with different goals. Some people only want to be here for a year, and you can sense that. Some people have spent 4 years here and they love it here, and you can sense that. And then the new guys, and then the transfers. It's just a weird dynamic walking into and being a part of. Now, do I get along with everyone on the team? Yeah, but at the same time, there's just so many different personalities compared to high school that was kind of shocking, and it's still an adjustment.
For sure. I learned those things too, especially early on in college. It's just like people are there for different reasons,
Yeah.
and you find that out very quickly. And there's going to be some people that want nothing to do with you outside of the court, and
Yep.
then there's going to be some people that you'll make genuine relationships with and carry those through.
Absolutely.
But everybody's got different
It's just
incentives
weird.
to why
Yeah.
they're playing. But thank you for sharing that for us. Another thing that I wanted to ask you is, because basketball has been such a big part of your life for so long,
Mm-hmm.
and because you have some really great mentors and coaches around you, what do you think is one or two of the main lessons that basketball has taught you about life? Because for me personally, and as you've seen through my coaching and training,
Mm-hmm.
I've learned a lot about the game of life through the game of basketball, and I
Uh,
try to always relate that back to you guys. But through your own personal experiences and your journey, like, what has basketball taught you that you've been able to take off the court and be like, okay, it clicks, and now that's helped me become a better man and a better person?
absolutely. I think any sport is a replica of life. It's just the one and the same. I think God has orchestrated that you're going to play this competition, and then once you're done playing, you're still playing that same competition, just in a different asset of your life. So I think the two things that I've learned most is true confidence can only come from your work. And I think you've taught me that a lot, as well as my dad. But you don't just get to go out and shoot 10 threes
Mm-hmm.
and go over 10. Most of the time you're getting subbed out for that. But in a humble way, the head coach let me shoot 10 threes, miss them all, and keep playing because he's seen how much work I've put in. True confidence, in order to be able to shoot those shots and miss those shots, uh, and make them, and then shoot them again. And if you miss, shoot the same shot again. That's just all confidence from shooting those shots on the gun, shooting those shots with a partner, shooting those shots in pickup games. As much as you do anything, you just begin to build that confidence. And then the second thing I would say is, and this is kind of in terms of leadership, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Big one.
And that's so big because, and I think it's kind of hypocritical in itself. Like, I can't tell him to come work out with me or go put up shots if I'm not the one doing it, right? So I think how you go about anything, and this isn't just basketball, how I go about my daily disciplines, waking up, going to bed at a decent time, and then on the court, I'm going to do my handle warm up, or I'm going to do form shooting. And that turns into everything, just like in life, like how I'm going to be a good brother, how I'm going to be a good friend. And I think those are things that you've really helped instill in me, but also the game itself. You learn from failing. So, what do you think? What is the one thing that you try to instill in all the players that you train or coach, that you want to say, hey, as you go into this life, the game of basketball is going to teach you this, and I'm going to try to help you learn that before you get into life.
Well, I'm gonna give you two, but one of them's the
Uh
same one that you said, and it's how you do anything is how you do everything.
huh.
That's one that really has stuck with me since I had kids.
Yeah,
As you know,
for
I've
sure.
got my two beautiful babies, and with that comes such an extension of responsibilities.
Yeah,
As who you are right now, you're really only responsible for yourself.
yeah.
You have maybe family responsibilities, maybe
Mm-hmm.
friend responsibilities, things like that. But the core of what you do on a daily basis is for you, right?
Yes, sir.
And so, as soon as I had kids, that flips. As a father, if
Yeah.
you're really trying to do it the right way, in my opinion, it's more so about the people around you from there on. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
need to take care of my wife. I need to take care of my babies. I need to make sure, not just financially or physically, but like
Yeah,
spiritually and emotionally, like I have to be there for them, and I have to teach them the right things. And it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of
yeah.
responsibility. But what I started to see in myself was this disciplined and dedicated young man who chased these basketball goals and was so consistent and was so, just locked in on, I'm gonna
Uh,
shoot every day. I'm gonna do this every day.
yeah.
Well, then you start getting all of these responsibilities that are external, and I started to catch myself being like, man, I'll clean up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Man, just putting it off. And
Uh-huh.
then as that momentum built, I watched it start to carry over
Yeah.
into other places because it was like, okay, well, I'll plan that workout tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do this tomorrow, and
Yeah.
you just start kind of, or I did at least, I should say, you just start kind of letting things slide just a little bit.
Uh-huh.
But then once you start doing that,
Yeah.
it's so easy to do it everywhere else.
Uh-huh.
So that's a big one I've been trying to teach everybody now is like, nah, if you're shooting on the gun and we're working on your form, then why is even 1 or 2 reps you're going back to your old form? Like I
Yeah.
got a kid right now I'm working with, he shoots on the left side of his face.
Uh-huh.
When he shoots straight up, straight out, cash. He's making 7 out of 10, 8 out
Yeah.
of 10. And then all of a sudden, 3 or 4 reps, he's back over here. And I tried to explain to him, like, that's just focus.
Yeah.
That's just your willingness to stay locked in on what you're supposed to be doing the whole time.
Uh-huh.
So that's a big one right now. And then the second one is kind of, we're both on the same page for both of them, is kind of just like the confidence part. Because me personally as a player, and even now as I'm going through this semi-pro journey and,
Mm-hmm.
putting my name back out there, it's like, even if you put all that work in, if you get out there and you're even the least bit tight about
Mm-hmm.
performing, it's not going to be what you want it to be
Yeah.
because there's an extra pressure that you put on yourself and it's all internal. So when I started playing semi-pro, I wanted to play good, as every good player wants to do. Every single player wants to make their shots and make good passes and not turn the ball over, whatever. But what I see from a lot of kids now in the younger generation is that they're held up by how they look to other people,
Yeah.
or by statistics,
Uh-huh.
or by these ideas that they place on themselves about how things have to go.
Yeah.
And so through my own journey now and through my training and through my coaching, I'm trying to teach the younger generation, like, let all of that go and play because you like to play.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I had some really bad moments in semi-pro this year and I had
Yeah.
some really great moments in semi-pro this year.
Uh-huh.
But I was only able to have both of those and experience them fully in a way where I could learn from them
Mm-hmm.
because I don't care.
Yeah.
I could
Exactly.
post the ugliest highlight tape. I mean, everybody saw on my
Yeah.
story, I posted out an airball, a game winning floater or a game
Mm-hmm.
tying floater,
Mm-hmm.
hit a 3, came back down, shot a floater, airball. Buzzer goes off. We lose by 2. Terrible moment. Hurts.
Yeah.
Next week, I hit a game sealing 3,
Yeah.
And so those highs and lows, they're constant in life too. So it's like, don't worry about any of the external stuff. Just focus on the process and then go out there and enjoy the opportunities that you get because you don't know when it'll be the last one.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So appreciate you asking me that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Appreciate you asking me that. My next question for you is, what's the biggest struggle that you faced? It could be either on the court or in your personal life up through your young life so far.
The biggest one is definitely my concussion. And I've actually had 3, so concussions. The first one was not serious. My most recent one was right at the beginning of this basketball season. I missed the first 4 games. Mind you, one of them was like, we played 2 back-to-back. So it was really just like 3 games, a home and 2 aways. That only lasted, I think, 2 weeks exactly. So that one wasn't as serious. But the one right in the middle, going into my senior season. So that after my junior year summer, we were in AAU warm-ups, and Jonathan Love threw me a pass as we were in layup lines, and I just wasn't looking, and it just nailed me. And it's not like he just rocketed at me. It's just a normal pass, but it just rattled me. And I was out for 2.5 months at least with a real concussion. Like, there would be days where I couldn't even get up in the morning. And then I'd try to go for a walk or try to go for a light jog. And then I'd just feel awful the next day. Or I'd come in for a light shooting workout and then think I'm fine. And then the next morning I wake up to work out and it's just awful. It was a very, very, very hard time in my life because I just wanted, I'm a senior. I need to get better. I don't know where I'm going to go to college. I want to go to college. I want to play in college. I don't know what I'm going to do. I want to win state. I want to be first team all state. I want to be district MVP. And all of those things that deep down I don't really care about. I wanted to play in college, but district MVP I could really care less about. But all of those thoughts just overwhelmed me. I became extremely anxious, somewhat depressed. And I think the Lord, I think the lesson I learned from that is just God telling me, hey, just slow down a little bit, Mason. I mean, just a little bit. Like I mean, me and you worked out since freshman year to junior year. I'd say if you count the 2-a-days and turn them into the days that we didn't work out, probably every single day, nearly. And I think he literally was just saying, Mason, just slow down a little bit. Now, do I wish he slowed me down a different injury because I couldn't think straight and my head was spinning and I was dizzy? Yeah, but I think, and I'm truly thankful he really just slowed me down and say, Mason, not only do I want you to slow down a little bit, but you're taking stuff for granted, right? Like this game, just like you were just saying, having fun. And that was my biggest part this basketball season. I was just saying, Mason, go have fun. Like this is literally why we play. So just I was taking it for granted, waking up every day, going to go work out. Like a lot of people don't get to do that. Mm-hmm. And then it's right down the road. I have a car to drive there, and then I have water to drink while I'm working out. It's just all the blessings that we've been given. I think I was just taking them too for granted, and he just slowed me down a little bit. It was a rough patch.
That's a very powerful lesson, though, and I had to go through similar stuff in my career, as you know, like a bunch of injuries, and kind of the same thing that I learned was like when you want something so bad,
exactly,
and you're going so hard for it, and you start being a little too tunnel visioned, God does step in and be like, "Hey, whoa, big fella, like we gotta reopen your perspective to the fact that this is not everything,
exactly.
And
Yes.
I obviously was a part of watching you go through that. We did, you did play AAU for me, and you missed a lot of tournaments after playing really well in some tournaments too. You were having a pretty good summer up to that point. But the fact that you just shared, that's very powerful because I think that's something that a lot of people will be able to learn from and listen to. And either if they're going through it right now and they hear it, or if they're going through it later,
it's coming for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
I think it's coming for everybody.
People will hear that and realize like, yeah, okay, so basketball is just a game, and even though it's everything that I love to do and it's where I want to invest my time and energy, I can't just put all my eggs in that basket. I got to remember other things are important.
Exactly.
So transitioning into the next one, what's one piece of advice you would give to the players that are coming up after you?
I think two things, and I talk about this anytime someone asks me this sort of question. I think discipline equals freedom. And then on the flip side, you can either have the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. I think both of those kind of equal the same thing. You can skip your workout in the morning and then you wake up at 10:30 and be like, regret that one. But discipline equals freedom. So you wake up in the morning, go work out, eat a good breakfast, maybe take a nap, good nap, or work out after lunch, or eat a good lunch, or have great time with your family. I think just on a day-to-day basis, consistency is so hard. And especially now, and I sound old, but like I'm living it. Like I'm addicted to my phone sometimes too.
I think we all are.
Yeah, I don't read every day. I don't wake up every morning or go to sleep early every night. That's my kryptonite. I sleep late in sometimes. But as you begin to develop, especially to the younger kids who are now growing up, like especially with a phone, like they get phones way earlier. And I know like I didn't get a phone until I was in 7th or whatever. But like they're getting phones in 3rd grade now and stuff. So I think as you begin to grow older, you have to realize that discipline equals freedom. The only way you're fulfilling yourself in this life is doing something hard, right? And then the second thing I would say is be a good teammate / be coachable. I think being coachable is a lost cause nowadays. I think, and you could touch on this after I speak on it. It's harder to coach now because kids are becoming so sensitive. And it's not even just like, hey, getting coached, like yelling at them. It's literally like, hey, adjust your form a little bit. And kids are just like, no. I want to do it this way. And then being a good teammate, I think being a good teammate is a compound effect. I'm a good teammate to you. I think I'm going to do better because of that. You're a good teammate to me. You're going to start making more shots. And I think it all is just a big domino effect in terms of winning. And if you want to win, and winning in life, not just like winning on the score, but winning in life and having true relationships like this and having being able to find people that you truly love and live for, I think that's part of being a good teammate. So what do you think about coaching nowadays and how like your biggest challenge in that way?
I would say, touching on both points that you made, I think discipline now has like a negative connotation.
Yeah.
Like, people hear discipline and they think running,
Yeah.
or they think, something hard,
Uh-huh.
which to a certain degree, yes.
Uh-huh.
But like you said, the more disciplined you are, the easier things get in the long run.
Uh-huh.
So when you're consistent with your workouts, you're a better shooter. You're in better shape.
Uh-huh.
You are going to earn more trust from your coach if you're a player, right? All of these things are the basically long-term investments you're putting in for your short-term actions, right?
Absolutely.
And so there's not a lot of kids who, one, understand that, and two, are willing to commit to it.
Yeah.
So my job that I see as a coach is almost like twofold, in a sense that I have to get you to understand why I'm hard on you first,
Uh-huh.
so that I then can be hard on you.
Yeah.
Because there was a couple times early on in my coaching career where I was too hard on a certain player too early, and they shut down, or they quit, or they did something of that nature. And as I progressed in my coaching, I realized, okay, so if I don't really instill in them the lessons and the understanding of why I'm doing what I'm doing,
Yeah.
then they won't want to do the hard work. But if I can tell them, like, yo, I went through this, or this is why we're doing that, or, just giving them the reasoning behind the actions that we're taking,
Yeah.
it didn't work every time,
No.
but it would give me a greater chance to then be
Mhm.
able to coach how I'm naturally wired to coach, which is harder coaching.
Uh-huh.
Like, I want you to give me your best effort at all times, because that's what I'm trying to do for you. So if you don't, that's naturally going to trigger something in me that I'm going to want to get on you, right? And then just kind of understanding that energy is everything, which is something you and me talked about very extensively over the 4 years. So like, when you're putting out good energy is going to come back to you.
Yeah.
So in an almost selfish way, being a good teammate but being genuine about it is going to bring back good things for you, because you're making people feel good, and everybody wants to have their self-worth protected, and they just want to feel
Everyone
good.
wants to feel good.
Everybody wants to know, when Mason steps in the room, he's going to treat me the right way.
Uh-huh.
He's not going to come in here and bash me. He's not going to tell me how I did terrible last night or this and that. Like, nah, this dude's trying to be the best he can be. He wants me to try to be the best I can be. So he's looking at me with a perspective that's going to be beneficial.
Yeah.
So like, those two things are just a huge key. When I stepped in, so quick story, I don't know if I told you this, but quick story for the people that don't know.
Uh-huh.
When I got invited to play for the semi-pro team, it was literally last second. I showed up late to the game because I had to drive all the way to San Antonio. So I showed up like 4 minutes in the first quarter, never met any of these people, never met the coach. So obviously the one thing I know as a coach is go in there and just be loud on the bench.
Yeah.
Just clap. I don't know these dudes' names. I don't know nothing. But I just go in there and I just start cheering. I'm going to start calling out screens, backside, just talking like a coach would talk on the sideline. And eventually my coach took notice of that. And he was like, so you're a point guard, right? Okay, I need you to go in there and I need you to set these guys up, whatever. So I go in and I play decent for my first semi-pro game. Wouldn't say it was great. But through just being a good teammate, putting in the good energy, he gave me an opportunity.
For sure.
Then I took that opportunity, didn't get selfish with it, went out there and tried to do the role he gave me, and then earned trust that first game. And then for the rest of the season, kind of got to build on that.
Absolutely.
And, make the most of my opportunity and do the best that I could. But yeah, just, it's a different society we live in.
Yeah.
Technology has 100% influenced people to think that they got to get it now. They got to be a certain way.
Yeah.
They have to protect their image instead of being vulnerable and being authentic in it, right? And so it does make coaching more challenging. But I also think that for the coaches who really want to do things the right way, it's not something that they shy away from.
Yeah.
It's something that they almost study to a
Embrace.
certain degree, and then realize, okay, so this is where we're at in the world. I can either make it all the kid's fault 24/7, which I've also fallen victim to that as well at times, being like, man, that kid just doesn't want it. Or man, that kid just, and to a certain degree, it's always going to be a two-way street.
Yeah.
Got to have the kid buy into, but I don't run from it anymore. I'm very much like, okay, let me try to get in there somehow, find a way to get my foot in the door, and
Mhm.
then push them to understand if they
Mhm.
want to be good at this game or anything, it's going
Yeah.
to take time, effort, consistency, discipline, all of those things, because there's no other way around it.
Uh,
If there was a quick route, we'd all take it anyway.
well, and this guy has an app. So instead of scrolling Instagram or whatever, you can go to his app.
Quick shout out to the advanced app. Still making it better every day. But nah, I think that's great, bro. And I know did you have any other questions that you'd like to ask before we kind of wrap it up?
I think as someone that I look up to so much, I mean, you've turned into my big brother. Like I text him and say, "What's up, bro?" or "Big bro," or whatever. And that just started as a true, authentic relationship. So how do you create such a what are your goals in this advanced training that not only I've learned from, but other people have also felt that you just make this space so true and pure and natural? What are your focuses on that? Like, how do you go about, like, I'm not just a basketball coach today. I want to change this kid as a person, because I would not be the same person I am today without you. Now, would I be the same player? No. And that's how we learned about each other. You helped me with my form, or you helped me with my dribbling. But I'm not the same man, or will be the same man that I will be without you. So how do you go about your detail every single day? I'm not just coaching this guy as a basketball player. I'm coaching him as a player, as a man too.
Well, first off, thank you for that.
Uh,
That's some of the most kind words I've probably ever received. But as you know, I spent a lot of time right after I got out of college meditating,
yeah,
reading a lot of religious texts from different religions because I was kind of just getting into, okay, there's a God, but I don't know if he's the God that I grew up learning. I've
yeah,
questioned God at times because when you see evil in the world, right, you're kind of like, how can God
yeah.
let this happen? So I kind of just went through a deep spiral of why am I even here?
Mm-hmm.
Like why am I even on this earth? And I'm gonna try to make this as quick as possible because this is a
It's a long
it's a
story.
very deep and it's very deep. But I kind of just questioned everything. I
Yeah.
went through and I was like, there's more to life than what I know right now, and I feel that,
Mm-hmm.
but I've got no clue where to start or what I'm talking about or anything. So I just started studying different religions, studying my own mind, my own body, things like this, and I started to realize how much of what we've been taught is important just really isn't, for one.
Yeah.
Two, how much of our identity has been influenced from people outside of us and our early childhood
Mm-hmm.
experiences and things of that nature. And then three, how love is the most powerful energy in the whole universe.
Yeah.
And so when you can kind of tap into loving yourself and being honest, like brutally honest with yourself about the
Mm-hmm.
things that light you up, then you can start to use that energy that you've found within yourself to cultivate and spark it in other people.
Yeah.
And in our case, I didn't spark it in you,
Yeah.
but we connected through our love for basketball, right?
Uh-huh.
But because of all the time that I spent away from the game, so for anybody who doesn't know and hasn't heard this story before, I pretty much got straight into training after I finished playing,
Yeah.
but I didn't spend any more time investing in myself on the court. I took what I knew and I taught it to others, and I kind of was like, you know what? I had my time playing basketball. So I spent all my free time meditating or reading or doing things of that nature. Um, and when I saw, complicated to even word,
Yeah.
when I started to realize that in our unconditioned and pure nature, we're all pretty much exactly the same.
Uh-huh.
I started to realize, hey, I might be able to put these players on a completely different trajectory mentally than what so many of us go through because of the time I was able to step away from everything that I thought was important and
Mm-hmm.
just sit with myself.
Yeah.
So when I meditated for hours at a time sometimes. I got to watch my mind take me through stories about how I hated this person because of what they did to me 3 years ago, right?
Mhm.
That has nothing to do with today.
Yeah.
Or how I'm worrying about what might happen a week from now has
Yeah.
nothing to do with today. We might be able to prepare for it, right? We
Uh-huh.
have a little bit more power over the future than we do over the past.
Yeah.
We can only change our perspective of the past, but we could take action to kind of cultivate a future that we want.
That's good.
But I just watched my mind tell these stories, and then um, as I did that, right, I started to learn how my identity was so shaped from the game of basketball. It was literally, if I had a good game, I'm a good person. If I had a bad game,
Yeah.
I'm a bad person. Um, then kind of like you talked about with your concussion, like investing so much time and energy. And then in my opinion, at that time, I had failed as a basketball player.
Yeah.
I didn't have a great college career. I didn't make it pro like my goal had always been. I didn't get any all conference honors throughout any of my college years. I think I averaged 5 points a game my senior year before I got hurt. Shot like 35%, 33% from three. So like not crazy numbers, right?
Uh-huh.
And I had invested countless hours, and it had shaped who I thought I was up to that point. So then just sitting there, letting it all run, being aware of it, and then finally one day I hit a space where I wasn't thinking anymore. And it was very subtle. It was like 2 seconds of listening to the wind, but there was nothing going on. And I realized in that moment, that's how our mind is supposed to work. So I obviously got very excited in that moment because I had tapped into like a new
Yeah.
state of being in myself, and then tried to recreate that for a long time. Didn't happen. But then through my consistency and my discipline and my meditation practice, it started to become more natural. I had more periods of time where I wasn't thinking, more periods of time where I was connected to myself authentically, right? And then that gave me the courage to be authentic with other people. So now, if I was old me, I'm trying to impress you.
Yeah.
Whether you're my teammate, whether you're my coach, whether you're a player I'm training now, I'm trying to impress you and make you think I'm this, and that,
Yeah.
so that you want to invest your money or your time or your, if I'm a player, my minutes in me, right? I want you to play me. I want you to look at me as the good guy. Da da da. Well, then through all that, I realized that's not what matters. What matters is being me, loving myself for who I am and where I'm at right now,
Mhm.
regardless of whatever flaws I have,
Yeah.
so that I can cultivate that space that you're talking about for somebody else to be able to do that, and then build that within themselves and take that with them wherever they go. So
That's
the
good.
game of basketball is what I love to do. And
Mhm.
I didn't even realize until this year that playing is what I love to do. You know,
Uh-huh.
I love coaching and I love training,
Yeah.
but there was always this little something itching at me of like, you're not as fulfilled as you could be. Why is
Uh-huh.
that? I never got to play for real. You
Yeah.
know, I got to play college, but I wanted to play pro, and that almost is just like eating at me. So if
Yeah.
I don't, I don't. But at least I took the shot at it,
Uh-huh.
and I'm willing to fail.
Yeah.
Um, but because the love of the game is within me, and it's something that's genuine, I said, okay, so I'm supposed to be around it. Now let's try to get other kids who feel that same love to understand we don't have to go through this mental cycle of suffering
Mhm.
that we create for ourselves. We can almost constantly be connected to the joy and the love of the game and let that carry us through the highs and the lows, like we've
Mhm.
talked about multiple times, because you're going to have good games, you're going to have bad
Yeah.
games. When you're identified with the game, when you're
Yeah.
identified with your ego of who you think you are, then everything that comes from outside of you is going to impact you and affect your emotions and affect you, how your day goes and this and that. But if you can find that space, which I found through meditation, but I've learned now from other people, you can find it
Mhm.
millions of different ways. If you can find that space within you of just staying connected to loving yourself, doing what you love to do, being disciplined and committed enough to
Mhm.
know that that's what you want to do every day, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
we don't, you and me, we don't wake up and think like, man, I got to go work out today. It's more so like, there's going to be days where we're crusty eyed and sore, and it may
Yeah.
be more disciplined to get up. But once we get in there and we're moving, it's
Yeah.
what we want to do. It's
Yeah.
where we
For
want to
sure.
spend our time. So that was a long rant, but just identifying with something deeper than who I thought I was
That's good.
through meditation, through reading, through for me, realizing that God is everything, the good and the bad, the highs
Mm-hmm.
and the lows. Like he's in every moment. He's in all of us.
Mm-hmm.
So
You with us right now.
yeah, when I look at you, I'm no longer looking at just Mason Williams. I still see you as who you are,
Yeah.
but I'm also looking at myself, and I'm also looking at a version of God who's living their life and figuring it out on the fly as we all do, which comes with mistakes, which
Mm-hmm.
comes with losses, which comes with lessons.
Yeah.
So I think that's where that space comes from, is like I'm not just looking at who you project to me that you are. I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking deeper than that into like this is a human who has a mind that's been conditioned through plenty of things that we've all gone through.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a soul who is going to experience pain and
Mm-hmm.
suffering and hard moments. It's also going to experience the highs of life.
Yeah.
And we love similar things, but even if we don't, the love that we have for ourselves and for each other can uh, inspire us to do greater things for humanity as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a very long. I try to make it short. I didn't. I also jumped left and right, but that's basically the shortest I can
Yeah.
give. Is just identifying with something deeper than who I thought I was,
Uh,
looking at that in other people, and realizing I may have the ability to impact them and put them on a different trajectory
yeah.
because the work I've done internally is now a gift I can give to others
That's elite.
to help them have as smooth of a pathway as they can make it. That
That's
probably would have
good.
been the short term if I could
That's
have just
good
said that
though.
sentence at the
That's
beginning.
good. That's good.
Well, I guess one more thing is just that this dude right here, wherever he ends up next year, is going to be a huge blessing to that program, to that team, to the environment, to the community, because he has blessed everybody here in Bryan, Texas, Allen Academy, advanced training, tenfold. And the knowledge and wisdom that he gives all of us, including me, because he's made me a better coach and a better trainer and a better man, is always very appreciated. So, love you, dude.
Thanks, coach.
Very grateful for you and for this conversation.
Yes,
Hopefully, it
sir.
impacts a lot of people.